Welcome to the Keelhauled podcast. I'm your host, Captain Logan, and we've got a lot of Sea of Thieves news to cover today, so tie yourselves to the masts and hold fast. Ahoy there, pirates. I hope you had yourselves a good week and a good weekend. I know I did. It was the Community Day episode that you should be getting, but instead, we are going to be talking about Sea of Thieves and balance of commendations, the respect of players' times. We're going to be talking about tools and numbers for different things in the game, as well as economic balance in the game. We're going to be talking about cosmetics, and we'll touch a little bit about the adventure. I'm not going to be covering the update that came out this week because I got to spend some time with Caleb. And as you can tell by the length of this episode, we talked quite a bit. Not nearly as long as normally, but still a fair amount of time. So we're going to be getting into that interview right now. We're going to be talking about a lot of stuff. So sit back, relax, and the next week's episode should be the Gold Hoarder episode where we can dive into the adventure, what people thought of the lore, and what do they think of the adventure in general, just what they're thinking of that. How was their community day? What kind of experience did they have? How much did they make? All kinds of fun stuff. So let's get into it. But before we get into any of that, I have to thank the patrons because they are the ones that are supporting this podcast. They are the ones helping make sure that this podcast is running smoothly, that I can experiment with different programs and see if that actually works out for shows. So thank you to People's Republic, Elacute, Balls, Bam Bam Bagel, Captain Hasco, Captain Hayes, Chateau Neuf, Zombie Killer, Cloud, Cosmic Johnson, Davram TV, El Jefe Esteban, Fergatron, Trickster, Jabaro 5, Carl Embo, Kazia the Rogue, Lumpy SRQ, Dub Goose, Evil Morpheus, Xbox Mike 29, Murphy Lives, NX Gamer, Raja the Brave, Regis Stella, Replicated Flame, Rust Belt Kid, Norwegian, Skinny Matt, Skamelt 666, Sudesh, Captain Dasm, That Kilted Guy, TN Professor, Real Big Tuna, Big Bad Pad, Mina Fairy, Super Pack, Music Me, The Lore Chronologist, Deadeye Dre, Ghost Boy 20, Evil Martha, Peter Miller, Ruski Doo, Thor Von Blitz, Windsor Chris, and Zam Wow. And just a very special thank you and shout out to our newest patron, the 50th patron, who is Heger Owl. So if you guys like this content, if you are enjoying it, if you like Sea of Thieves and you want to support a content creator that doesn't stream that much, head over to patreon.com/Keelhauled podcast. You'll find the show. So thank you to those who are supporting. If you don't want to support through Patreon, just sharing this, liking it, subscribing to Spotify or Apple Podcasts. The YouTube version also comes out as well too. I'm getting close to 500 subscribers there. So thanks to everyone who is supporting the content. I really appreciate it. And with that, let's get into this interview. Welcome, everyone, to the Keelhauled podcast. This is a special episode with none other than Caleb, the fan of Sea of Thieves, the person who sees no wrong in this game or ever keeps track of anything that pertains to multipliers, right?
We are multiple players of this game, so it sounds right to me.
Okay, that works. All right. Caleb, welcome back to the podcast. It's always fun having you on. Our episodes always go longer than any other podcast. I think Iron Lord's podcast is the only other podcast that I know of that goes like 4 hours, 5 hours, and they have like a 6-person panel. So how we managed to do it with only 2 always astounds me, but it's a pleasure to have you back on the podcast. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Thank you for having me on. I think it comes from our ability to care a lot about our own opinions, which is funny because when most people try to talk politics or something with me, I go, I don't really have much of opinion, or if I do have one, I don't think me voicing it to you is going to make any difference whatsoever, not to you, but to the world in general. So generally I'm like, I just don't care about my opinion. But here, apparently we care enough about our opinions to talk for 4 hours. So I'm ready. I'm buckled in. The only thing that's going to stop me here is profuse sweating because I've closed my window to block off all noise, turned off my fan, and I'm already getting hot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're getting heated up because you're so passionate about Sea of Thieves.
There you go. That's
we're
right.
we're leading off with that. It's not hot. We're sweating. So we're going to be talking about the respect of pirate. Ironically enough, we're talking about a 4-hour podcast here. The topic of this episode is going to be respecting players' times. In the case of Rare, am I correct on this thesis you've crafted?
Respecting pirates' time on the Sea of Thieves. Yes.
So sit back, relax. We're going to be here for the next 6 hours, and we'll find out where this goes. So Caleb, you always like to. We've gone past top tens. We've gone past tangents. We've covered all of that. All of that stuff is fabulous and fantastic if you're trying to make a game show. We're here to get down to the NPR of this. We want to get the nitty gritty. So you've come up with a theme. You've come up with an idea about respecting time.
Yes.
I want to give you the floor to kind of tee this up for folks to kind of get a basis for where you're coming from.
Sure. Yeah. I think with many people, this would be a wonderful little thing for you. While we're talking, Logan, why don't you quick boot up your Steam or whatever method you have of seeing how much time you spent on the Sea of Thieves and get back to me with that.
91 days.
Say what?
91 days.
91 days? That's like hours divided into days?
That's I mean, I would have to pull out a calculator to see like how many hours that is, but I have 91 days.
Oh my gosh.
In Sea of Thieves.
I have 1,018 hours. That's the Steam version. I played plenty before, so that's 42 days for me. Wow, that is more than I wanted it to be. I hope they never tell me how long I've played StarCraft.
Right?
But we spent a lot of time in this game. Some people bemoaned the loss of Arena due to its ability to jump in and out, and I was like, oh, every session of Sea of Thieves is hours long. We're talking about a game that in some ways is unique in the way that you want to spend a good amount of time per session. And I think Rare looked at that and got the wrong idea and kind of extrapolated that into a danger zone. I think I've got a couple factors here we can look at to illustrate this and to talk about it. And I think the number one that is probably obvious to most people is when we look at accommodations and achievements to a lesser extent, and the number tooling on those. That was originally going to be the topic of the whole podcast today, but I found other ways to actually talk about respecting pirates' time, and I realized sort of at the 11th hour that's what I'm actually really interested in talking about. But let's jump into number tooling.
Can I interject real quick just so I have a good basis of understanding when you're talking about bemoaning Arena to be removed and Rare taking the wrong message from that? Are you speaking directly to the accessibility to playing the game in short time stints or the actual Arena quality itself? Because I feel like there's a little bit of a mixed message, at least personally for me, about what I didn't like about Arena.
Was that one of the reasons people were upset about losing Arena was that you couldn't have a quick play session. I couldn't jump on for 30 minutes, get in and get out. Separate statement now that was illustrating what I'm about to say now, which is when you jump on the Sea of Thieves, it always takes a long amount of time. It's very rare to have a short play session. Maybe if you catch a few fish, but even those usually end up going very long. And I think what Rare saw was, hey, our game takes this long just for a normal session, and they extrapolated that out to some things that don't respect our time.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Hey, no problem. So, we look in accommodations like, we should get this out of the way first, because anytime I've had this conversation, this happens. So this is no straw man. This is me telling you about the 700 men that I talked to behind me. If I say this accommodation's tooled too high, you're going to say, well, do you want it to be easy? It should be, you should get a sense of pride and accomplishment when you do these things. Putting aside that you just quoted the most downvoted comment in history, can you admit that, say, doing 2 million Legend of the Veils is too high? Yes, of course you can. All right, cool. Now you've got what I'm saying. Now we can all start at the same basis to have this conversation. I think the numbers are too high. You can just admit now that numbers can be too high. We can go back and forth on what the actual numbers are that are too high. But I think by a broad stretch, the commendations that we see here and achievements, the numbers are too high. Get 200 of each animal. Yeah, sure, I'll get right on that. Even doing 50 of the sea forts was a little bit high. 100 Legend of the Vales. Speaking of arena, it used to be, it was 240 wins as a pirate legend to get that commendation. And then they said, and we're going to dump it down to 100. And then they said they got feedback that said, no, go back. So this sort of thing's been happening for a long time. We've got it documented that people will have this debate. But wherever you fall in the debate, what I want us to walk away from here seeing is that these really high commendations don't respect our time.
Yeah. Well, and I think the aspect that people are debating on this comes down to the reward, right? Like we don't care if the seasonal renown number just kept going up beyond 100 and we didn't have anything, but we already achieved all the cosmetics that we want that were sold to us, then people probably wouldn't care. Like if it kept going up, like numbers going up aren't really the issue. It's how long does it take to get the thing that I want, right? Like, yes. Is that a good consensus for why folks are saying it's either too easy or too hard for the numbers?
Yes, and I think that you've even helped me remember another thing, which is, I do 200 of each animal. What's the reward? It's a title for each of those animals and accommodation. That's it. Yeah. Interesting. For some of us, that's completionists around the world. We like those things. Still, it's good to reward us in a little more of a way there. I'm not saying can't find fun in adversity. In my arena segment, I talked about it, however many episodes ago. Is DeMarco dead? Maybe have been the title, something like that. There's a lot of people that are having a lot of fun getting together and optimizing how to get these things done. My friend Bolt Birdie was telling me about how he got a part of a Sea of Thieves server that's all about achievement and commendation hunting. And they were doing, for the animals, what were they doing? They were grabbing a bunch of voyages to get the crates, discarding the voyages, putting a new one down, getting crates till they had a gajillion crates. Then they went to an island, caught the island dry, all died to reset the island, caught the island dry, all died, did that till all their crates were full. Then went back, put down new voyages to turn in the animals, got rid of the voyage when they did everything, and there weren't any more animals left, and just kept doing that to get their animals. That can be a lot of fun to figure out how can you what's the word, beat this game, how can you circumvent it.
Min-max.
Yeah, that's fun. That's been fun for everyone from role-playing games to video games. Yeah, I'm not saying that you can't do that. This can provide opportunity for that. It does that should not be the base of what we do here.
It is I will say that I want to respect players' desire to play the game they want. And while I validate that as a means of doing it, it doesn't justify the numbers that have been set by Rare. I think is the message here, right?
Yeah. Do me a favor, go look on the Master Chief Collection and tell me how many achievements there are. The answer's 700. There's 700 achievements for that game. I had a blast getting those achievements. There are no do 200 animals that will take 5 million years. The most difficult time-consuming ones are lasso and probably kill 1,000 watchers. Those are, or however many they made us kill those. I hated that. That's it. And those are hey, it's fine to have the few really high-value ones. We talked about how fun that can be to try to get together. The entire fun of lasso was trying to figure out how to overcome that challenge. But even that wasn't a challenge because you had to do so many. That was a challenge because it required skill. Catching 200 animals, not so much.
Yeah.
You want to make these numbers, these tool things, make them fun. Make these goals, I should say, that Rare wants to give us. Make them fun, and just do 100 of them is not fun, and that is what they constantly go back to. And any hope that they're improving whatever, like every time there's a new update, okay, 100 veils. They're not getting the message. They just really are doubling down on, well, we'll just increase the number, and thus we've accomplished the goal and we've made replayability. No, this is not the way to do it. It's not fun. It doesn't respect my time.
I think that In key, I think there is a message that the community is saying, and I'm speaking from what I've talked to other people is that we want long-term goals, but the goals that we're being provided aren't interesting enough for us to really feel that carrot on a stick. 200 animals is not an interesting carrot. It's more like a turnip, which I'm sure is great for some animals, but not for horses for all intents and purposes, to stick with the metaphor. So when I think of what I want Rare to do with this kind of thing, and stop me if I'm jumping the gun here, but I feel like the desire from the community is to have long-term goals that are more interesting than what we're currently being provided, which right now is just a number gate for a title.
Well, you're not jumping the gun. I think what you're doing is you're finding a solution. And I think the solution is going to be a very difficult thing to do. I'm not sure I can come up with it right now, or you and I will come up with it right now. I'm more interested in getting the community to at least, even if I can't get us to agree, to see the point of view that this is not the way to go.
This is not the way?
This is not the way. But you've mentioned a couple times, and we will jump a little ahead of my notes because I think it's a great segue, great opportunity to talk about this. Having the long-term goals, which is sometimes what, when you see these huge numbers, you think that must be the purpose, to give me a long-time goal. Now, with the introduction of captaincy and these unending numbers, that I think fits us more as there's your super long-term goal. There's the long-term goal of, can I do all of the accommodations? And when they're all tuned a little bit lower, that's still a long-term goal to do all of them. Don't make getting one accommodation a long-term goal. Oof, at least don't do that many times. Captaincy has given us limitless numbers that have rewards at set times, but then you can keep going forever. Enjoy. That in some ways is a good solution. I like that in some ways. I would also say that some of those captaincy numbers are tuned a little high as well. Not some of them, a lot of them. They admitted it tuned down some, not enough to my liking. But it's just an illustration that they really just think we just got to pump these numbers up. Pump those numbers up. You know what I'm saying? Hit your chest with me, guys. Come on, you get it.
So I'm curious, in this instance, how do you prepare for long-term rewards when bringing in an update that doesn't immediately build into the idea that there just needs to be a longer time frame, a longer amount, or a larger amount of things that you have to do to ensure that people won't get bored with the content within the first month?
Sure, recurring rewards is always a great one. Hey, the emissary systems reset. You're going to want to do Athena things. So choose what you find the most fun Athena things to do. And then your most fun merchant things are to do. The most fun gold hoarder things to do. I don't often do the Siren Shrines, even though I really enjoy them, until there's a new emissary. Then I'm like, you know what? Let me pop open the Order of Souls. I've got a Breath of the Sea quest. There'll be a lot of rewards now that I have that quest active. Let me jump down and figure out what the Shrine Tribute's all about and have fun with that material again. The introduction of the accommodations does not need to be the method of a long-term reward. The introduction of accommodations with huge numbers does nothing but to not respect my time. I don't have the time to make this game my job, despite what our played number hours and days just told you.
Yeah. Well, so I think you're hitting on something that I like, but it still doesn't fix the issue that I see. I agree that the ledgers have been a great way to revitalize the necessity for the emissary system by adding additional cosmetics that give us something to drive for each season. The trouble is that a majority of the hardcore players will all knock those out within the first month. And there's a catch-up system built in there, which I appreciate. I do agree that the commendations themselves could be tuned better to represent the amount of time that they are available. I think ever since they moved away from time-limited commendations, they've been a lot more, not egregious, but kind of bolstering the numbers of the commendations.
But here's the deal. We don't need to make each new content the long-term goal. We don't need, hey, now that there's sea forts, we got to make sure there's a long-term goal with sea forts.
Right.
Now that there's this, we need to make sure there's long-term.
Getting at.
Yeah, we don't need that. It doesn't need to be for each of them.
So that's kind of where
your long-term goal can come into things like, hey, now we have the Dark Adventurer set. That's a lot of money. You're going to need there's a long-term goal for you. Hey, every update we add a bunch of clothing to the store. There's your goal for you. It's renewable goals. That's beautiful. That's wonderful. However you want to solve it, don't waste my time. Don't not respect my time. I'm sure there's a good word for that I'm not thinking of, by making the number 100 Legend of the Veils.
Right. Yeah. I always want to, whenever we like to, I know when we like to dive into these topics, I always want to try and come up with at least an idea, some feedback, as opposed to just, I don't like it though.
And I see that I must have completely wackadoodle organized my notes, because we've jumped into the cosmetics thing, which I had three well, okay, so I want titles from now, but while we're there, unless you were going to say something.
Well, I want to go back to kind of the idea of respecting time. And we've been talking about that because I wanted to get your thoughts on how captaincy, bringing in changes for captains in particular, people that have been able to afford the ships, are now offered additional resources when being able to log in. Now you're no longer restricted to just the crates that you can purchase from the Merchant Alliance, which made the most sense given that they are the kind of resource kings in Sea of Thieves. But now if you speak to shipwrights, you can get the additional bait, the meat, the fruit, the wood, the cannonballs and such. Do you think that introductory items or introductions of those types of features are helping to assuage the issue of not respecting your time? Like, is that getting you out onto the seas faster?
So glad you brought this up. A long, long time ago, I promised that you and I would talk about this. I'm glad we're here now. Yeah, when we have to look at Gold's, to answer this question, we have to look at Gold's role at its base in the Sea of Thieves. It's one of 3 rewards for playing Sea of Thieves, doubloons and ancient coins notwithstanding. So, it has to have a use. The other 2 would be commendations and company reputation / emissary value. The primary reason for gold has always been you spend gold on customization, which leads to a problem that we've mentioned before, even this danced around it this episode itself. What if I bought everything? This I thought had been well handled with 2 solutions: a very expensive endgame set and new cosmetics every update. You can renew this with additional very expensive endgame sets every so often. They're definitely slipping with adding new cosmetics. With the captaincy, we did have a big dump of a different kind of cosmetic, so take that or leave that. But unless you give, I don't understand what the heck I wrote here. That is, unless you give it another purpose. That's a transition that was probably left over from 4 drafts ago in my notes. So I'm just going to highlight that and delete that. And say the other role that gold can have that Rare's saying, hey, what about this? Is what you said. I want to allow it to buy consumables. Gold can be spent on giving you supplies. We saw this many updates ago when you could get those storage crates from the merchant, and fireworks are worth mentioning, but those are more not gameplay very much oriented. But now you can straight up add supplies to your ship with gold. People, this always causes an argument. If I would say this sentence, it gives an advantage to players with money over players without money. They can spend gold to get a boost of supplies at any time, whereas those without gold must spend their time instead of their gold. Call it a significant advantage or not, it still is one. In first-person shooters, we call this uneven starts. But here's the kicker. I'm less interested in the imbalance of it and more interested in them respecting our time. Don't solve the problem of us having to supply up at the start of every session by making us spend time or gold. Just give us more supplies to start with. Argue amongst yourselves on the amount. I'm not here for that. I'm here to get us to agree that this is the way to go.
So I So the problem with that is of course the respawn for ships. Respawn is a base function. It's not catered to, you starting off on a server for the first time, or you sinking your ship. It was one of the reasons why in Arena people started filling their pockets and then scuttling their ship, because there were 0 points added and they got a fresh respawn with the exact same amount of supplies that they had at the beginning of the match. And it was
with playing over 240 games, I never saw that. There was a million. Maybe in
you
2
not
games,
seeing it doesn't make it not a thing, though.
Listen to me. Maybe in 2 games ever did we ever run out of supplies, or
Right.
a supply. They gave you a cajillion things. No one filled up their pockets to get an extra 10 supplies and then scuttled their ship at the start of the game. They gave you way too much of a disadvantage. I don't know what you're talking about.
They did. They used to. I know people that have, and I'm saying
Was this in Arena 1.0?
No. This was after they boosted all the supplies.
What are you even? Why? It's useless.
I'm not justifying the reasons. I'm saying it was a thing.
I don't believe
the mentality behind it is.
Who? Did the one streamer? Was it Falcor? It was Falcor, wasn't it? Oh, fight me! No. I knew it. Who?
No. It was some of the top streamers. I'm not going to throw out names, but I know that it was a thing because it's how I learned about it. Because I didn't play Arena, but I heard about it.
Well,
I'm not going to dox anyone for this, but I'm saying like the main point here is that you're either using your time to get gold or you're using your time to get supplies, and it just depends on how long you've been playing. Would you agree to that?
Say again?
Would you agree that the difference between buying supplies or supplying up with time is just a matter of how long you've been playing? You've either been using your time to get gold or you've been using your time to get supplies, depending on how fresh you are. And you either have the gold to spend on supplies or you don't have the gold, and that's because you haven't been playing as long.
Sure.
Or you've been really bad with your gold, which is very, very easy.
Or spend it on the things that it's meant to be spent on.
Yeah, which I don't want to discredit. You did say take it or leave it as far as the ship cosmetics for captaincy. There are a lot of cosmetics that they put in, and granted, a lot are just
each of the slight are a million.
Yeah, there's a slight variation to like a lot of the cosmetics. Like I've bought the same palm tree, just a slightly upgraded base twice already.
Sure.
So that's 200 grand that I dumped in, but that was a gold sink. But I don't want to discredit that those are just as justifiable as like clothing cosmetics if they just aren't as flashy. But they are iterations to cosmetics and a valid way to spend gold, to kind of just give that a little credit where deserved. They put a lot of work into that.
Yeah, I still can't get over given, for a 1,200 cannonballs at the start of an arena match, you would scuttle your ship at the beginning, lose your momentum to get 40 more. It doesn't make any sense.
Not justifying it. I know. I'm not justifying it.
I just considered that you only got, 6 chain shots, so maybe to get more chain shots.
I'm not justifying the action, but I will say that
I believe it. You wanted them chain shots, those blunderbombs, those fire bombs. Aha! I bet it was high level play. Oh, those NAL guys. I knew it. I'm
not doxing people for
this.
But I do know about it. So anyway, getting into the respecting of time. So we were getting back to the conversation about us talking about gold being spent on supplies versus just getting more supplies. They've already kind of upped the amount of supplies that we do get, and they've added additional supplies as base, like chain shots, like blunder bombs and flares, things like that. So what more would they have to do? And I guess is that the thing is do they feel like, because I mean, it's as easy as just going over to the shipwright and clicking a bunch of buttons and it's automatically delivered into your ship for captain ships. Is that not already easy enough?
It's not about ease. It's about rare respecting our time. They saw the problem of, at the beginning, you don't have a lot of supplies. What is the solution to this? They monetize convenience, quality of life. Okay, well, you can buy stuff from the shipwright. You can buy a resource, a storage crate, and go loot the island. You can and you can get things delivered to you. You're selling me the solution to the problem you created. The problem is, we're wasting your time. Here, you could spend gold so that we're not wasting your time anymore. No. That's not the solution. Don't put it on me. Just give me more supplies to start out with. Then let us go on our way.
And I think you're missing a key factor to this, though, is that there has to be a loop. There has to be a reason to spend money on something, and cosmetics will eventually run out, whereas these are renewable.
Right, and that's what I addressed earlier, saying that we had the good solution of a end game expensive set and new cosmetics every update. Keep that going. And instead of going that direction, they went the direction of, okay, here, buy supplies. No.
I think fundamentally that's where we disagree. Is I like the idea of having renewable gold dumps, whereas you would want to have the further investment in one-time purchases.
Either way, I want us all to come to the table and talk about how we should not be spending our gold to give ourselves. We shouldn't monetize convenience and quality of life. Gold should not be the solution to our time being wasted.
It's tricky for me to try and explain why I like and why I don't, or why I agree and why I disagree, because I do like what they've done with the renewable gold dumps for supplies. It is save time, but it is also a good way to dump gold into the game if I want to be able to get that.
I inherently see a problem with how do we get people to spend their gold? I know we make it inconvenient for them not to.
Inconvenient for them
not to
spend their gold,
yeah,
or inconvenient for them
that's not the solution to I have too much gold. I know, let's make their sailing experience really inconvenient till they spend some. No, thank you.
Well, I think inconvenient is a matter of perspective in this case, because some folks will see it as more inconvenient. Well,
let's waste their time unless they spend their gold. There's a good way to get them to spend their gold.
Right. I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you in what you're saying. I think that the trouble is comes down to balance at that point. How do you balance it so that you're not really, because I mean, yeah, unfortunately the cat is out of the bag in this instance.
Yes.
So it's really tough to kind of like think in a world before we've already gone past this point. So you can't put the cat back in the bag. They really don't like that. Plus you get scratched, and I don't want to get scratched. Mm-hmm. So there's really no good way to go back from here. In a perfect world, if we had been thinking about this prior, then it was kind of those situations where I was saying like we should just start off with more resources, but it was designed in a way to have us feel like we had to go and scrape together for each session. And I think that's the trouble is that I think the solution here could be an update to captaincy that allowed you to have persistent supplies between sessions.
Wow. I mean, that seems interesting on its face. It also immediately makes me think of poor new players.
Poor new players, true. But again, we're talking time versus not time. Like we're talking about people who have invested the most amount of time and aren't being rewarded for it. They need to be on a level playing field with people who haven't. But in Sea of Thieves, you know, how many supplies you have doesn't necessarily matter. If you know how to come into an engagement, you can take someone out with very little supplies.
Sometimes, yes. Depending on
nowadays it feels like skill is slacking and attrition is king.
I'm definitely feeling the waves turn to that way. But I as we move on, I hope that, you know, there's plenty of fuel here for people to talk about solutions. What do you spend your gold on? You know, all these things. But I really hope that people would at least consider their times valuable enough that they would hear what we've said about respecting our time and making us spend gold is because they're wasting. I don't know how to phrase this neatly. Making us spend gold to counter them wasting our time is not a good way to make us spend gold or to respect our time. Just respect our time. Make that the base and give us other motives for gold spending. And then you can all debate what those methods should be.
I kind of want to toss an idea to you and see how you feel about this, because for me personally, and I think this is where I have the trouble really kind of galvanizing your march here, for time respecting, is I never feel like supplies for me have been the main reason why I'm not getting stuff done faster. A lot of the time, and the latest mystery being solved and being able to see the ending to that, which we found out this week was finally solved. That genuinely took me, because I was running solo, it genuinely took me 5 hours to do in one session. And the ending was great, but it took me 5 hours solo to sail around, to try and find the specific places to go to play a song, to see a symbol with no indicator that I was on the right track. It was all very hidden, which was cool. But at the same time, it's a long time to be sailing the seas with that. In 100%, everyone that I came in contact with on the seas were all doing the same thing. They were all either doing the adventure or they were doing the mystery, and it was taking them to similar places, and no one was hostile. In fact, I even had a guy who was logging off, give me 2 ancient chests and a bunch of gold hoarder stuff while I was down finishing the last part of the mystery. I come back up and he's jiggling on my deck around a whole bunch of gold, and I'm just like, this is the most fortunate server I've ever been on in my entire life. I've never, ever had such fortune brought to me on a server because I'm running around trying to do a story thing. Like I've never made any gold this much gold trying to finish a mystery in my entire life. So I guess the point of this story is for me, a lot of the time, the time that I spend on the seas is not about Rare not respecting my time as far as like commendations, milestones, ledgers, gold sinks, things like that, supplies. It's always been how far apart are the things that I'm being sent to try and make sure that enough players are spread out so there isn't another siren's cry. If I can kind of throw that out, enough players are out and about doing their own thing, and the areas that you have to go for a lot of the adventures, for a lot of voyages, for a lot of the mystery and stuff are so spread out that just to get from Ancient Spire Outpost to Plunder Valley is a bare minimum of 10 minutes of sailing with wind. And that's the thing that I think is always the one thing that I rub up against the most is the time it takes to get from place to place. There's no fast travel. I don't want fast travel, but it definitely never seems to work in my favor that if I have 30 minutes to jump on for lunch, the most I can hope for is getting on an outpost, raising anchor, dropping sail, heading to the nearest sea fort, finishing that, trying to get as much as I can, hopefully without any incursion of other players, and get back to the outpost with just enough time to barely turn in what I've got.
We did that power hour the other day, doing one vault, couldn't do it in an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in the Roar where islands were close.
Yeah. So it's to me, I think the thing that always rubs up against me in talking about respecting a player's time,
all right,
I think
I
we've
love you
solved,
so much, but just to help you out with the future, it rubs you the wrong way.
Rubs me the wrong way. What did I say?
Rubs up against you. I mean, cats do that. That's wonderful.
That's fair.
Hopefully you have a partner that does that. But rubs you the wrong way is what you're looking for.
Rubs me the wrong way. Thank you.
Grinds your gears.
Grinds my gears. Yeah. Takes my cheese. Is that one?
No, I don't know.
Takes my cheese is not one. Okay. So yeah, what really grinds my gears is
I want us to now start warps my woof.
Warps my woof.
Yes, there's a saying, the warp and woof of something, which is like a sewing reference.
Okay.
Maybe it's a crocheting reference, but I think it's a sewing reference. Very ancient thing that people say. But warps my woof, to take something old like that and make it new and sort of Play-Doh it into a shape that's funny. I like that. That really warps my woof.
I like it. I think we need TikTok accounts if we want this to be a thing, though.
Yeah. That's the positive version of of gets my goat or rubs me the wrong way. This really warps my woof.
This warps my woof. And you know what happened to me the other day? I made 1.5 million gold on Community Day. It really warps my woof.
Yeah, definitely. My
I don't know
cat
if this
is
is gonna
scratching
stay.
at the door. I don't know if you can hear it.
No.
He's fine not being with me all day. But as soon as there's a door in between us,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I don't know, maybe I'm just going to the bathroom for a minute. He's like, this is an emergency situation and we are disconnected.
That's cats in general. We're getting off on a tangent though. So I want to know, like, I would love to have a world in Sea of Thieves where I feel like I can get something done faster. And maybe this is just me. I've always been kind of like trying to figure out like what's the easiest way to get gold in the shortest amount of time possible. Not like how much gold per hour on like a 5-hour session. Like, how much can I get in 30 minutes if that's all I have? Because it's literally what my lunch breaks are like. And like the captain's voyages where it's just a one-off are fantastic. You get 4 skeletons, you go to a quick island nearby, you're good, you're done. You come back, you're all set to go. Doing a sea fort, fantastic. I love doing those. You get a lot of supplies on the actual sea fort so you can survive. Plus it's got really good loading and loading out mechanics for the treasure. Love that. I like to see things that are like the arena where they were so set on having quick in and out experiences where you get a robust Sea of Thieves a kind of a story to tell. You know, you have a really good arena match in that 24-minute or 24, originally it was 24-minute time frame. And there just isn't that in Sea of Thieves.
I think there's definitely
Adventure.
room right now. There's an opening in Sea of Thieves for a shorter experience, an opportunity for a shorter experience. With the emissary system, even like doing just the other day, being yesterday, I did some sea forts with a couple friends, and we were like, let's do a quick experience. We can get in and out, but we put up the Reaper, and it took us 1, 2, I think it took us 3 to get to Reaper 5, and even then we had to go do something else, like sink a skeleton ship or something. I forgot to get that up to 5. So with the emissary system, even quick things, they sort of feel like, I don't know about you, but if I'm not having emissary up, I do feel a little bit like I'm wasting my time, because with emissary, it's like I did something 2.5 times as opposed to just once.
Yeah, I agree with where your sentiment is. I'm fine not having the emissary because I like the idea, because I do genuinely like whenever I'm running solo, I do typically keep an eye on things like Reapers out there and try to kind of skirt the edges, which is great for the sea forts. So I typically don't run emissary just to kind of like run a little, I can't remember what the actual nautical term is. It's like running blind or something, or running silent. I think it's running silent. That's a submarine thing, right? So it's like, I always like to kind of be in the back distance, like the upper seats. I don't want to be noticed. I don't want to be front row.
You got those lanterns off.
Yes, most of the time. Although lately I've been doing stuff where I've been role playing in my mind, and I've been saying like, I just want the lanterns on. They're going to see my boat anyway. I might as well just, have them on so I can actually see where the hell I'm walking.
My sail's about as bright as the sun. I get it. You can look at me. Sometimes when you're, maybe not. I was gonna say when you're running Reaper, sometimes you're like, I have my lights on. Like they don't know I'm coming, but sometimes I don't. Anyway, here's something I did want to say about number tooling. Even though we're well beyond that, but it's something that's so important to me that I did want to mention.
I like it's a good conversation. I do like the conversation we're having about milestones, about commendations. Is this in particular about commendations?
Yes.
Okay. I'm excited.
I do not like the exponential increase from seeing, say, you have to do 5 for grade 1, 20 for grade 2, 50 for grade 3, 100 for grade 4, and 200 for grade 5. I understand the reasoning for that. So your first 2 or 3 feel great. It does make the last 2 feel like garbage.
Yeah, it does.
They should really even those out. Divide them evenly. Let us know. It also makes you lose. You don't have a sense of progress because they all don't increase the same exponential way. So you don't. There's no consistency. So there's no way to look at a new commendation or any commendation and say, all right, I'm at grade 2. I know what grade 5 is going to be. If you had it even, you would have that. Aside from looking it up on a Sea of Thieves wiki.
Yeah, that's one of the things I like about the progression systems that they have in, say, like Destiny. It's all factored out, like from start to finish. You see, like if you're in stage 1, you get to click the little plus button for every time you hit the first stage, and that first stage is 50 kills, and then the second stage is additionally just 50 kills, but it is stage 2 of 5. So at the end of this, you're going to have to do 250 kills, but it at least breaks it up by the different sections. So it's like stage 1, 50 kills, stage 2, 50 kills, stage 3, 50 kills, stage 4, and so on. Sure. And they always kind of have that listed out, which is a lot clearer. And I agree that they do need to have a little more consistency in their commendation amounts that you have to do stuff. I do have to point out, at least some are easier than others. So like completing a sea fort versus I would say like finding hidden things in a sea fort. Like those are two very different amounts of things that you can do. So having one being like, you found 500 little secret things. It's like, okay, well, there were like 25 on the one little sea fort. So that's not nearly as hard as completing 30 sea forts, which is a lot more time investment. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Do you agree or do you disagree on that?
I'm good either way. I mean, I like the
okay.
The give me it even, no matter the size of the accommodation. I've also got very far away from my mic. It'll be very fun to edit. I am back. Look, it's me. We neglected to mention one other thing you can spend gold on, by the way, with the introduction of captaincy. It's saving cosmetics to your ship that they've give us another, or buying ships. Those are two new things you can do with your gold. And while slightly off topic of respecting your time, while we're on captaincy, I like to give a thought or two about that.
All right.
When I looked in the past, before captaincy was even announced, not that it wasn't announced from day one, I should say, what do I want out of captaincy would be to name my ship and to have the role of captain mean something. And what we got, what I think was quite different from what I expected. And I don't know what the general opinion is of the community, and I don't know how many people would agree with me. But there was a lot of things I found quite disappointing about captaincy. Being able to name my ship, sure, you can do it one time for a very expensive gold fee, one time per ship, I should say. And then after that, it's real money. What? That's disgusting. All I wanted to do was rename my ship, and you made it incredibly difficult. Can't I just go up to the plate and interact with it and name it? This is so sad.
I think it should have been a gold dump. I'm fine with the nameplates being in the Emporium. I think that real money for those is fine. It's a cosmetic. I'm not a huge fan of the real money requirement to be able to rename a ship that you've invested a lot of time in. But it's kind of on the same line as the pirate appearance potion, right? The PAP. I don't necessarily see like why that should be set up the way it is. It is, but at the same time, it does force you to really kind of like, you have to commit to what the name of your ship is. And I think that's the point of captaincy is you're not just changing the name willy-nilly. You're trying to build a reputation for you and for your ship. It's why we have the captain's log.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see that. I think very few people will reach the acclaim of, oh, I know that ship's name, so that should not be what we hold everyone to. When that's going to be reserved for... I will, to this day, I will never forget the Reaper's Bane. I will not forget that name, ever. Sure. You've named
I never want to see that ship on the seas.
You see what I'm saying? You've remembered one, that's great, and that's one. You shouldn't hold that standard to everyone else. It should have been something that you can... Don't tell me how many times you should be able to change my ship's name. It's my ship.
Well, that's why they give you the ability to get new ships in the future when you've worked hard enough to justify getting another ship. I'm not saying like their justification rules are what should be in place, but they've at least accounted for that. But I mean, like I'm trying to remember what the exact name of it is.
Here's a message to Rare and to, I don't know who else needs to hear this right now, but having to spend cash is not a symbol of importance.
It's trying to dissuade you from changing your name on your ship frequently. It's again, they're I'm trying to see like what their perspective is.
How many of us wanted to do Unsinkable 1, 2, 3, 4 as every time it sank? Or every time I sank, got a new ship name, regardless of Unsinkable.
But why wouldn't you just
change
like
it depending on what ship
10?
Cosmetics I have? Listen here, Rare, and listen here, Logan. What I want to do is you've given me 5 million cosmetics. I want to rotate through them. Use them all the time. Oh, cool. New ship set come out in the Emporium. That looks cool. I want to use it. Oh, I want to use my Pirate Legend this time. Oh, I want to use my Parrot this time. One of the 500 ship sets I've accrued that I've spent the one of the 3 things I get for playing this game, my gold, my currency on cosmetics. I want to use them. And then you're incentivizing me. No, don't do that, because if you want to get a captain ship, you're going to stick with a name. And you know what? You're going to spend gold so that you don't change your cosmetics, so that we save them for you. No. You're incentivizing the wrong way. Enable me to use all these cosmetics. Don't lock me down to one that's the opposite direction.
So I'm gonna speak out.
Every time I change my ship's set, I want to change the name. I want to call it the Whaling Barnacle when I have the Whaling Barnacle set. I want to call it the Burning Blade or whatever the heck. Each set, I want to call it those names. Don't make me have to get a legendary ship name to get a new ship to name it, or spend, goodness forbid, $5 every time I change my ship's cosmetics so I can have a name that matches. I
think you're missing one of the things that is still available to you with the captain ships. And that's having you can lock your loadout, you can lock your cosmetics to be what they are. You're not prevented from changing those at any point. That just means that whatever your base is what your base will be when you log in. You can change your cosmetics at any point. You don't even have to change them and then lock them in for future sessions. The main difference is that you just can't change your name, and that's because you're trying to build a reputation with that name. I think if they had changed the way that you unlock other ships, I think if you just had the opportunity to buy as many ships as you want from the get-go, this would be less of an issue, because you'd be able to have as many ships as you want.
Yeah, let me make a decision whether or not I want to have one ship that's really renowned and never change my name, or change it with my ship set, or for whatever whim I have. I don't like the idea that Rare says, yeah, but this is the way we want you to do it. No.
So the issue here is you want a gold alternative. You want a gold alternative to changing your name. Your ship.
That's the way to solve it now in the ecosystem they've created. What I really want is to just interact with the gosh darn nameplate and change it for free, like I change the name of my pet.
How you change it is like, you just want the ability to change it. You're not going to necessarily get the way you want to change it, but you at least just want to have the option to do it, not having to spend real money.
Yes, it's an illustration of the greater problem, which is the focus of the narrow opposite of what I've always been about in the Sea of Thieves, which is changing and using all these cosmetics I've got, and they're focusing me in the other direction by many incentives, both gold and real money.
Right, but we've also been begging for loadouts.
Yes, thank goodness, yes.
So it's hard to say like this is the way to have loadouts with full ship, like. When you
don't confuse loadouts and me spending 50,000 gold to save a figurehead.
I understand what you want. I'm not necessarily saying that captaincy is the answer to loadouts.
Loadouts are a quick way to change things. Equip all button.
Yeah, I know, but this is what we've got. So like, how do we work it into what we've got?
Rare, why do I have to pay all this gold to save my ship cosmetics in between session? Something I've been able to do with every other cosmetic in the game by default.
Yeah. That doesn't
It was a
track.
dumb decision, and it's a dumb trajectory, and I don't like it. The other thing I said that I was hoping to get out of captaincy was for the title captain to mean something. So far, the most it really means is that you get to be the one to decorate your ship unless you give your crew permission. And when you launch the ship with you. Okay.
I mean,
cool.
Are you saying that that's what you wanted, or that's what we got?
That's what we got. I wanted captain to mean something. It doesn't seem to mean quite much, many things.
Well, I mean, if you're putting captaincy in and you put captain in there and you make it something that means more than just being another part of the crew, then that is kind of breaking the tools, not rules, isn't it? It's forcing you into that role.
I'm not sure. I just wanted captain to mean something, and so far it means I can change the cosmetics.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're the captain because you want to be the captain on your ship, but you don't want to be the captain because that's not the type of person you are, you already have another captain, you just want credit for your ship, then being forced to be a captain and being stuck to doing whatever captain in your mind sets apart from being just a regular crewmate does kind of force you down the rules, not tools path.
I'm not sure. We're speaking so vague. I'm not quite sure what you're saying.
Like, I'm just saying, like it being vague allows for the opportunity for players to still play the way they want without having to be forced into a role that they don't.
Sure, yeah. We don't want like, oh, this is the repair role and all he can do, he gets a bonus to repairs and not shoot cannons. Yeah, of course. I'm saying I wanted captain to mean something, and so far all it means is that I can decorate the ship.
I mean, that's more than what we had in the past, though.
Oh, don't say that. Yeah, you can say that for a lot of garbage things we live with in life.
Yeah, but
people use that to keep people down all the time.
Right, but I'd rather have this than not have it.
Okay.
Would you agree?
Yeah, that's no excuse for something being implemented poorly.
I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying I'm okay with what we've got for now.
Yeah, that's the definition of excusing something. Some things I do like about captaincy: the damage on the ship being saved is super cool. I would never pay to repair my ship except for the fact that I lose some of the cosmetics on my wheel when it gets busted, which is a big sad. No,
I don't want to keep the cosmetic damage. I want to have a fresh boat every time I load in.
Well, now you have to pay for that. Look, we've monetized something that you got for free. Let's see, new types of cosmetics for your ship. Oh yes, all the new bits and baubles that you get for your ship. I find it interesting we don't get those in the Emporium, and I wonder if we'll get that for every set. You know, just much like we didn't get the rest of the Ancient set, and I assume it's reserved for future Athena content. I assume that the rest of like the Pirate Legend table and chair and carpet is going to be reserved some other future Athena content. Funny enough, we got the Athena stuff though. But I do wonder, like we always wonder whenever an update comes out, is how long are they going to continue to support things for this, or is what we got what we got? So are we going to get more carpets from different ship sets, or is this what we got? So be happy with it, because I'll tell you what, I do want more trinkets. Regular trinkets, not the like trophies. Not that I don't like them, but regular trinkets I think are really cool.
Excuse me, sir. But you interrupt me all the time. I'm interrupting you right now.
I have you turned way down so that the volume doesn't bleed through to my microphone. So I didn't hear you interrupting me. Please interrupt away.
What is your favorite trinket and what is your favorite decoration set so far?
Barnacle. Easy peasy. Fits really well with my Welling Barnacle set. Wish there was a variety of them. Wish I wasn't limited to 5. I get past that by having other crew members who own barnacles can put up their own set of 5. So that's pretty cool. My favorite, right now I have a fort. I specifically got the fort painting, and I'm working towards the Reaper painting.
Ooh.
I know a friend who's working towards the fish. He like me already got Legendary Hunter, and unlike me, he's willing to continue to fish.
Yeah. See, like me, I've been doing it naturally, so
I would get probably, if I had to get a fish, the Ancient Scales are cute, and the little puffer boys are cute.
Hoppers.
Isle hoppers, they're so cute. The raven
Isle hoppers are really adorable. I love the stormfish. I would probably get the battle gills are not bad too, but I think the devilfish would be like the go-to if you had the Ashen set though, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Oh yeah, got to put it towards your theme to your ship. You're right. But anyway, so trinkets are cool. I would love to see new trinkets come out. I'll be very disappointed if the ones we got is what we got. Give me
What's
a different, more
that?
variety of the regular old trinkets.
Like, okay, so I have a question for you. Some of the decorations that we have are very natural. Some of them are not very natural. The little palm tree sand beachy on the little podium, not natural.
Sure.
The hat with the coins, very natural. How do you feel about them having like the difference between natural versus like unnatural? Little awards versus like just stuff strewn about your ship.
Are you talking about the difference between trophies and trinkets?
Yes.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, I think they're two well-defined categories, and I think it makes sense to have trophies that you can show off based of activities you do. We can all argue about how much time you must spend to get them, and I think here, more than regular accommodations and regular cosmetics, kind of makes sense that, you have a really big goal to reach and show off, hey, my portrait's gold, which means that I spent a lot of time doing just this. I think there's more of an argument to be made for these trophies than it is for any other cosmetic or accommodation.
Interesting. So where do you fall within the Shrouded Ghost being backdated compared to everything else? Because everyone seems to be very upset about how nothing tracked for the entirety of the game.
Sure.
For things that were being tracked compared to like the fact that people that got the Shrouded Ghost got a figurehead for it and a trophy.
I've infinitely felt bad for anyone who's defeated Shrouded Ghost before become Pirate at Legend. I think it'd be hard for anyone to be like upset that people who did get the Shrouded Ghost got that retroactively. I am more on the side of the people who get upset that none of our things were retroactively. I know I'd be very interested to see a lot of those stats for my pirate over time. Seeing them now is less interesting. Seeing them for the 90 days you played or whatever it was, that would have been interesting, wouldn't it have? They said they couldn't have tracked them all. They chose, instead of doing some and not others, to do none. I think that was a poor decision, and we all wish for a perfect world where they could have done all of them. I think it's very peculiar that the pirate stats are only tracked while you're on a captain ship. It makes a lot of sense for a captain ship stats to be tracked per the ship. Hey, here's the history of my ship. Reach into what we talked about, captaincy that you liked and we talked about earlier. Having a ship's a reputation and all that. That makes a lot of sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me that a crew, that long as you're part of a crew, you have these stats tracked. And it's not even based to that crew or that ship. It's just that, hey, were you on a captain ship? Now your stats can be tracked. That's odd to me. You should have your stats tracked as a crew member, as just a pirate all the time.
I think the naming conventions are the issue that I've had the most with. I think ship's log should be captain's log. I think pirate milestones should be crewmate milestones. I think if you change the names on them, the logic behind why they're tracked the way they are or what they're called would make a big difference, because I think the captain's book should be the ship's log because it's on the ship. I think the ship's log in the menu should be the captain's log because it is your captain's ships, all of them.
Sure, you won't find me arguing against that naming conventions are bonkers in this game.
That's fair.
I don't think the naming convention is addressing the core issue of, I think your individual pirate stats should be tracked all the time, not just when you're on the captain ship.
That would be, I would like that, but I don't know that it would. I think you would have a harder argument for why aren't past stats not taken into consideration in that case, because
I'm already arguing that either way with it in the way I am.
I know, but to look at it from Rare's perspective and to justify the reasoning, I think they are specifically saying that the reason we aren't doing that is because it is only when you are considered in a captained ship. Not necessarily.
It's foolishness. Who's interested in just your stats when you've been on a captain ship? Maybe if it was when I was on this specific crew, but that's not what it is. Or when I was playing on this specific ship, that's not what it is. It's just as long as I was on any captain ship with anyone. What?
Right.
I don't care about those. I care about the pirate, just what I was doing wherever.
Right, but that's where the difference between their reasoning versus our reasoning comes into play. Like, our reasoning is we want to know the stats for our pirate, which when we look at the pirate milestones only counts towards when we're on a captain ship. I agree. It should be whenever we're doing stuff, because there's reasons why I'm not on a captain ship, or there's reasons why I'm not in an emissary and it still gives me gold. So I don't disagree. I'm just, again, stating Rare's perspective for like, they aren't here to defend themselves.
Sure.
Ahoy there, pirates. This is the ad for this episode, and I did want to let you know, if you wanted to avoid these and just get a regular filler, you can head over to the Patreon. There's a special feed just for patrons that get the ad-free version. If you want to keep listening, though, I can't say I blame you, because this week I want to let you know about Loot Crate and getting 15% off of most crates and crate subscriptions when you use the link and code RobotsRadio in the show notes. Also, you can head over to audiobooks.com, get your first 3 audiobooks for free, and that can include any 2 VIP books, or use the affiliate link for Green Man Gaming. If you're a PC gamer or you'd like to save money on games, it's one of the benefits of being a PC gamer. Head over to Green Man Gaming. You can get codes for Steam, Epic, any of the different stores that they have deals going on. They have deals going on all the time, and if you plan on buying there, please consider using our affiliate link. All of that goes straight to me through the network. Thank you all so much for everything that you do to support this podcast. It means the world to me, and I continue to try and improve the quality and the content for you. With that, pirates, let's get back to the show.
I think that it's interesting that we can now buy various levels of voyages. You're no longer locked to the level of reputation you are with a company. That's nice for achievement hunters and commendation hunters out there, if no one else. The new ones, minus the stash voyages, I think are pretty lame. And the stash ones are interesting. They let you have that fun surprise like Fort of Fortune digs. You love it. Ooh, I got the skull. Beautiful. We took up a mermaid bottle quest, and one of them I wasn't expecting that. I would love to see the loot pool on that.
I actually am going to push back on this and say that I like the captain's log, or I love the captain voyages now. I have a healthy combination of long stuff and short stuff. I think for me, it comes down to the naming conventions and not having a clear indication on what is one riddle versus a riddle, a compass, and a bunch of digs. I would like a little more clarity on those, but again, going back to the idea of respecting my time versus what Rare wants me to do, having those shorter voyages and getting those completions towards commendations is a lot easier now that we have those. In the past, it used to be try and find someone who's fresh to the game, do all of their missions because they're all short.
Do those count for the like 100, 200 gold order voyages?
I don't know offhand, but I know it counts towards deeds and milestones, nice. And those are kind of the new grind for me. Well,
I'll tell you what, aside from the achievement and combination hunters, I'll never... doing a riddle is not so entertaining to me that I'm going to hop on for a quick session of doing a riddle and then getting off. No, thank you.
It's a personal thing.
Sure.
For me, I don't mind because I like it. And that's why like whenever we're having these discussions, we have to account for the people that aren't in the room saying, I like this. Yeah,
but they're not here. I mean, I don't know how fun it is if we just kept going, but there may be other people that would not say this. Yeah, maybe.
I'm just saying that there's always going to be people who enjoy the things that we're saying are bad.
Yeah, that's true. I would say that most people I've interacted with, I go a lot with people I've interacted with and how many opinions I've gotten of that. I'm sure there are people out there, let's say, that would want to do just one riddle. I don't know if I've played with many of those people before.
You've at least one.
Right.
But I think if they could shore up the naming conventions, make it a little, what I would really love to see with those voyages, honestly, is back in beta and alpha, they had estimated times for how long those voyages should take. If you just focused on the voyage, right? It gave you an estimated gold output and it gave you an estimated time for completion. And I actually really appreciated those because it was like, okay, I know I've only got X amount of time. I'm only going to get this type of voyage and I can expect this amount of gold from it. Mm-hmm. And that was a great way to kind of plan out my session.
Yeah.
And we don't really get that.
While we're talking about captaincy, I'd like to say that the what are they called? Courage of
Ship
Captaincy
stuff?
outfit is a wonderful outfit. Pretty dope.
The Courage of Captain.
It's what you get in the
lion
season
stuff.
The season stuff.
Yeah.
The
We're
boots
going into
are a pretty
seasonal
minor
stuff.
reskin, which was kind of funny.
Yeah, that was weird.
But oh
wasn't
my
the
gosh, give me
seasonal
a
stuff
second. My
better?
cat is losing his mind.
For those of you that don't know, this is
Have
Noxus.
a little tiny kitty panic attack. You know how people have emotional support animals? I am his emotional support human. That's for sure.
You were also an animal.
I'm also an animal. Some people would say that. That's for sure.
Would they say it in the scientific way or the you went to college and had fun way?
Well, not that second way. I've never been accused of being a party animal or someone who's done that sort of thing. Oh, you're such a good boy.
Fair enough.
But yeah,
I love your
think
cat, by the way.
this concludes the topic at general of respecting our time with a little detour on captaincy. This game is fun for long-term stuff. It's one of the reasons I love it. I love spending a couple hours with my friends doing various things on the Sea of Thieves. While I'm playing that much in your game, respect my time in it, please.
And I think, if I'm being 100% honest, I think the sail time for ships, I think just as a bare minimum, the amount of time, like if everyone's sailing in the worst possible situation, right? Whatever that may be for each different ship type, just bump that up a little bit. Let the ships go just a little bit faster. Can we drop it into third gear, like off the bat instead of?
I don't think a lot of people would complain if there was just a 10% boost to speed across the board.
I don't think anyone would. I think everyone would be like, yeah, no, it's okay. We can get to the islands a little bit quicker.
It would
But
make
that would
combat a little more interesting, if anything else.
It would throw off a lot of the timing for cannon shots and stuff. But I mean, that would be an interesting meta to play around with.
Oh, something I forgot to mention.
Good.
I'm
kidding.
The storage crates. The fact that
about the
they're
storage crates?
so expensive from the Merchant Alliance it says something about them. Like, hey, here's a storage crate. Here's something that can help you with the amount of time you're spending doing something. We're going to make it more expensive than an Athena chest. That you use your own critical thinking to say, what does that say Rare? What is Rare saying with that?
They're saying that only the rich can afford this.
Yes, thank you. That's the answer I was looking for. But I like your listeners to just think, what do you think that means?
That it's not a necessity. It is what is the word? What do they do? I'm not rich, so I don't know what the hell the word is, but it's a convenience. What is the
Necessary
term for
evil?
that? No, that's money. I'm trying to think of what the word is. But it's like it's superfluous. It's not a necessity. It's a convenience. I'm saying it without saying it, but effectively, like the rich pirates out there are the ones that can afford to have the storage crate. They don't blink an eye. We had this conversation the other day about like, would you bend over for a penny? Right?
Oh, can I tell that story then? If we're gonna talk
go
about
for it.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is one of the most meaningful things that's ever happened to me was my family was taking some friends clamming. We live in Atlantic City, so there's spots to clam. And I hate it. I think it's gross. You have to do it in the bay, which is gross. You have to put your feet in mud and dig up living creatures and touch other living creatures. Hey, real quick, the things that live in the bay as opposed to the things that live in the ocean are much grosser. Just a gross experience in general. You come home and you like all those clothes. You're like, I have to burn these clothes. There's no cleaning them. So me and someone else who were, just related to other people going there, so we were just hanging out, we're on the dock, and he goes, oh, a penny, and he bends over, and I laughed at him, and I said, what are you doing? And he goes, I'll bend over for a penny. You have to understand that this man, someone my family's known for a little bit, knew him back when my father was the pastor of a farming church, and a simple man who lives a simple life. Maybe simple's too derogatory of a word.
I think it's a neutral word.
Okay,
I wouldn't,
all right.
use that as a neutral.
So to have him say, I'll bend over for a penny, I'm like, you're right. I'm not above. I shouldn't be above bending over for a penny.
It's one of my favorite stories that you've told. But yeah, I mean, it goes back to the idea that money is a perspective thing. You either have a lot or you don't have a lot, and your perspective determines how much you actually have, regardless of whatever's in your bank account. If you think $100 is a lot of money, then you'll pick up a penny because that's one closer. If you don't think $100 is a whole lot of money, then you're probably not going to pick up the penny. Having the commodity crates or the backpacks available for you at more than what an Athena would be says to me that you're making that investment. To me, at least, this is my own personal expense. So I am 100% saying that whatever I do in this session has to account for the cost investment that I'm making for something. It is a long-term investment in the future of this session. And that's how I generally justify it. For people that have millions of gold and nothing to spend it on, they can blow it and drop servers after something happens and not blink an eye about it. And that is where, like, how much money you have, having renewable resources that you can put on your ship or use to get out sailing or feel more comfortable while going out to sail a lot faster, gives them the sense of security, right? You're paying for security at this point. The gold is not being put towards cosmetics. It's being put towards the safety, knowing that you have enough to handle whatever's out there.
I think you've answered, what does it mean when you buy it? I would like your listeners to answer, what does it mean that that's the price?
That's fair.
I'd like to give my 2 cents, now that we've had a good number of them, on adventures.
Oh yeah, we haven't talked about adventures in a while.
We haven't much, and I've only got a little bit to say.
Okay.
They seem to me to be time-limited tall tales.
Yep.
They're less polished, given at the clip they come out on. But they do get a cinematic, so there's a give and take, whereas not all tall tales got a cinematic. I have this in quote. Go ahead.
No, I think you're right on that. I don't think we got a cinematic for all of them.
We got sets of them. I think we got like a cinematic for the gold, whatever, like the Shores of Gold, and a cinematic for Pirate's Life. But you surely didn't get a cinematic for each tall tale. Okay, so you're talking. Just to clarify, are you talking about the stuff that the separate studio makes for like the YouTube channel, or are you talking about in-game? Yes, separate. Not in-engine.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes more sense. But that is a separate team that was working on Arena that is now working on those.
Sure. So I had this in quotes, and I wrote these notes a very long time ago, so I forget what this quote is. I don't know if Rare said it or someone else said it, and I put it in quotes to give them credit. Who knows? But the quote is, FOMO engagement isn't real engagement. And I really believe that. And these adventures, these time-limited tall tales are FOMO engagement. And it's a bad way to do it, in my humble opinion. Remember when they switched to a monthly cadence and they were unable to keep it? They kept pushing things back. So they moved to seasons. What made them go back to that sort of thing with adventures? Why put all that work into something that's here today and gone tomorrow? Maybe they see that tall tales don't get done enough to warrant keeping them around. It's one of the excuses we got for Arena being discarded. Sure, but do you forget that them being around allows people to play them, even if it's for the first time or only one time, whenever? Not within a 2-week window, which for any host of reasons they can't get to, not the least of which is they don't own the game yet. Sorry guys, you don't get to do the Pirate's Life tall tales because you weren't around when they came out. That would be literally garbage. These time-limited tall tales are a poor way to go about things, and I think it was a bad decision, and I would not be surprised if after a certain amount of time they go, we're not doing this anymore. This isn't the way to do it.
So I'm of two minds about this because I see the joy of both. I love going back to old tall tales. I love taking people through old tall tales, and I love them getting the ability to go back and really kind of experience that content from a fresh perspective. even if the world has kind of moved beyond the time frame that it was set in. I think there's still merit in having that history. I do recognize that part of the problem with Tall Tales is a minor exploitation in the checkpoint systems that they've introduced. One of the problems with Tall Tales is that they would take too long. People would lose items due to being sunk or just negligence, and they would not have enough time. And this goes back to Rare respecting our time. We wanted to have our time respected, so they introduced checkpoints. Then people started figuring out you could exploit the checkpoints to be able to get things that you naturally probably shouldn't really have access to, because the intent was to play through a story adventure, not use it to escape a ship through the shroud or travel between servers, right? So the solution to that was to try and move away. And not to say that this is the solution. The reaction that Rare had to it was to try and remove Tall Tales as the go-to for story implementation, right? And instead, they designed a system that introduced story and moved the world as a whole along. Like, things are changing in Sea of Thieves as a progression of the story, but it takes too long to develop and install Tall Tales that are all kind of well thought out. It's easier for them to have a checklist, a couple cosmetics, and have a time limited thing. I very much hate the idea
that I also think probably one of the reasons is it's nice not to have to make sure that something can persist in the world forever.
Yes. Which has been one of my complaints in the past, is that sometimes things are stuck in game and left to get dusty because no one's doing them, right? Commendations that are locked to things in game that people can still do, but they don't do. They're not popular. So why are they still in the game? Are they things that are bogging down the system? That's always been a grudge. I always want to have my cake and eat it too, it seems. But it just depends on my perspective. When it comes to lore, I want people to be able to interact with it. When it comes to sitting on a skeleton throne, I could care less. So I love the idea that adventures give you content every few weeks, to be able to move the story forward. Because I feel like one of the biggest complaints from the community was that the story was never moving forward. We were always waiting for the next set of Tall Tales, right? And Pirate's Life came in. It was a beautiful story. They told it all in one big chunk. It was all done in a month, and that was it. That was the extent of it. The response for Tall Tales was that we wish that they had maybe done some cadence with the Tall Tales from a Pirate Life, space them out so we have stuff to do. Lo and behold, they do that. It's not persistent, but they do that with adventures. So we got what we wanted, and we wanted story told spaced out so that we could have something to do over the course of an update and not just knock it all out in one bit. And we got adventures that are doing that. I think the biggest trouble is
how we know you're right? Because we don't have events anymore, or at least we don't have them in the way that they were.
Yeah.
Those were the way to keep engagement throughout the course of an update. Those are gone. Even though I very much liked them as a engagement driver, but now it's these.
Well, the problem is we would get too many. Like, we had the complaints of like, we have to kill this, but this being like the Ashen Lords is solely dependent on the rotation of world events. And it's like, well, I don't want to have to complete this commendation that I want to complete by just constantly cycling through servers to try and find the one that happens to have the Ashen Winds up. I just want to be able to summon it and go do it. It's like, we, again, as gamers in general, we always want to have our cake and eat it too. So we always got sick of how many events there were. So that's why everyone was really happy that Flameheart was gone, because it was one more event out of the rotation. And we finally got to see the Kraken again. And then everyone realized that the Kraken isn't as amazing as we build it up in our mind.
And also, I hope you've all realized what I've said many times before, is that ghost fleets are boring without him yelling at you. You missed him now, don't you? Caleb was right. Yeah, you go try to get your 50 skeleton ghost captain skulls now. Tell me how much fun you're having.
So, but to kind of focus in on your discussion about that, the thing that I would love to have is what I talked about last week's episode. I would love for there to be a story mode for Sea of Thieves where you could go through all the tall tales in your own pacing, with your own time, with checkpoints. You could go through and play through all of the past adventures, go through them all, be able to experience them. Majority of those you can all do solo. I think the Shrouded Deep is the only one that you can't do solo, where you need to have 5 people. But even that, you could have a matchmaking system in there. But I really want there to be a place where people can experience the story and not have to miss out on the lore, to where you have to go watch a YouTube video. You have to go watch, like if you want to catch up on Destiny lore, you have to go watch like 20 hours of Bife
Goodness
videos.
forbid, to understand the story of this game, you'd have to watch a Falcor video. Fight me.
Oh my God.
Oh, can I
came back to that.
Yeah, I need to say this real quick. Hey, bozos. Hey, randos. I love you all very much. Don't actually want to fight Falcor. Don't want him to fight me. It's a funny joke. Ha. Got no actual animosity towards the guy. It's a running gag. And I don't want to actually hurt or have myself hurt by anybody. Please don't fight me or Falcor.
Good disclaimer. But I want there to be a way for people to experience the story. I feel bad for folks that have missed out on that. And yes, I see that the argument for FOMO engagement is not real engagement. But and again, I'm excusing it because I see what they're doing. I just wish that there was a way for them to have it persistent in another form so that it wasn't FOMO. Even because I think that the argument here is that it's time limited, so people have to get in, they have to do it within the 2 weeks or they miss out. I get that. But the story, the content that's there, the information that's in those adventures is still valuable enough to where I justify it as actual engagement, even though it is time limited.
Okay. It's a strong disagree from me. That's FOMO.
That's fair.
I mean, I think you have to agree to it in some ways. Saying that you were saying that it's a reason to play the game throughout the season.
It is in the sense that it gives us something to do throughout the season.
FOMO engagement isn't real engagement, quote unknown. I think Sun Tzu said that.
I'll have to read that book back.
Listen, FOMO engagement isn't real engagement. That's not me, that's Aristotle. All right, so argue with
okay.
that.
Well, no. I mean, he's dead, so I can't be with him.
Logan, we're at an hour and a half unedited. Can you believe it? We're so close to the end that all I have left is a top 10. My question to you, sir, is there anything else you wanted to add on to this? You want to talk about maybe the mystery or anything?
I don't want to dive into the mystery other than to say that it took a really long time to do. I wish I didn't have to have spent that much time invested into doing it. I'm very disappointed in some of the communication or the lack of communication from the studio to kind of keep everyone invested in it. I've talked to a lot of people about the mystery, and the resounding response that I've gotten to it is that the casual gamer to the mid and highly engaged gamer have lost interest in keeping up with it because so much of what happens gets done on social media, and there's very little in game to kind of keep you up to date with what's going on unless you hear about it from social media. And that's not where everyone goes for it. That's where a subsect of the community is.
It's a hard line to walk because people, it's craft, and even if there wasn't pushes like this many retweets would give you the next clue. Social media, if you're going to count Discord and other chat rooms, is a natural way to share our findings with each other, because there's no incentive for me to go do every step once they're figured out, right? There's only incentive to do the final step. So we're finding these things, we post on social media, hey guys, I figured out that you got to go to Thieves Haven and do this. I think it's going to naturally be involved when you're doing a mystery like this.
Yeah. I think if there was, and this is where I think if I had to have my druthers about, is it druthers? I think it's druthers. If I had to have my druthers about this, I would have liked to have seen a progressive commendation in the actual Build Rat adventure that was dedicated to the DeMarco thing, and have it so that each time the community unlocks the next stage of the ARG, it unlocks something in game that you could go do to get caught up on what's being explained
that would have gotten
in
me
the social
way
media.
more interested. I would have done these things, and of course,
Yes.
you would have more understood it if I did it instead of. I just know generally you had to wear certain clothing to certain people. If I had gone out
Yes.
and done that, it would have been more interesting to me.
Yeah, I think if there was a way that if once the community, because I want to give credit to the community for actually figuring this stuff out, aside from data mines, they did a really good job figuring out the mystery. And I really think that everyone kind of tried to come together who were adamant about this to work on this ARG. But it needed an in-game component to explain where everyone goes, because not everyone's going to go to a website, not everyone's going to go to social media, but everyone's going to play the game. So have a commendation that every time a new stage of the mystery is unlocked, it builds in part of the story that was explained through the ARG into the game, so that if you wanted to go find DeMarco making deals with people or saying his goodbyes, if you wanted to go find out what the Pirate Lord was doing with a bunch of gold coins and people on Thieves Haven, that would be unlocked in the commendation, so that you'd see something new and it would pop up with a little tag that said new on the little Build Rat thing. And you'd go and you'd check it out, and it would give you a little bit of a clue about what you had to go do to experience the story up to that stage. And I think that would have helped a lot in keeping the entire community engaged with the mystery, as opposed to the subsect of ARG fans.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, ARGs aren't my thing, so naturally I wasn't interested in doing all these things. I think it's cool that we got some unique cosmetics out of it.
I'm a little bummed in 2 points. One, that the Sea Dog lantern that we got no longer has the cool little eerie thing that happens with it. I'm really bummed about that. I'm also very bummed about the fact that DeMarco's soul was not actually in the lantern. I think that would have been an amazing story point, but of course that's what I would think coming up with it. I will say that after getting done with the ending, which I have a spoiler up on my YouTube channel. If you want to watch the ending, if you don't want to do it yourself, if you don't care about the commendation in the title, that's fine. If you just want to watch the ending, I recorded me doing the last section of that, plus all of the cinematics and stuff, all the voice and whatnot. That's up on my YouTube channel. If you don't have the time to do that, but being able to do that and being able to finally get the resolution in game is the epitome of what I want from movies. Like, you don't kill a character off screen between seasons of a TV show, right? I want to be able to press the red button. If there's a big giant cannon that's going to shoot down the big baddie in the sky, give me the ability to press the red button in games. That's the whole point of playing video games, is to interact with it. So when I finally got to go down there and I finally got to go see what was going on, I had no clue what it was. I was very surprised, and I was very amazed at the setup. And it was one of those situations that I hope that there is. I wish this was a tall tale, honestly. I wish it was an adventure. I wish it was something that everyone had the opportunity to go experience, because only the people that have been following along with the thing are going to know what to do and where to go and how to do it. And everyone else is going to have to catch up. And there's been zero indication from the studio if this is going to be persistent. And there's no way to know, like, is this only going to be out for the next 2 weeks? Is it going to be out for the next 3 months? Is it going to be out for the perpetuity of the game? There's no indication of how long you'll be able to go, or how long you'll be able to do this for. So if I had to ask people, hey, plan out 3 to 5 hours, take a guide, go do it, I can't tell them to do that and trust that that'll be fine in 6 months. And I think I'd like a little clarity on that as well. But that was kind of what I wanted to talk about as far as the mystery. I was very happy to see the ending. How we got there is still kind of muddled in mystery and a little dampened by data miners.
I would say that the answer to the mystery, maybe both get me do the, oh, when you look back on it, oh, there's this really cool thing about it. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And also made me go, how the heck was any of us supposed to guess that it was going to be this character based on certain history?
Yeah.
I will say the only time I've ever actually thought the Pirate Lord was anything resembling cool.
This was one of the coolest Pirate Lord moments, and that is a bit of a spoiler, unfortunately. But there are answers that do come from the ending here. The Pirate Lord is involved. I
think it's so cool that he was actually Flameheart the whole time. There, I said it.
Now I'm gonna have to edit this out. If we're going there, we might as well just continue on the whole trail and just say that it's really weird that DeMarco's been posing as DeMarco himself and as Flameheart Jr. the whole time.
And that the lantern was sentient and the lantern was what killed DeMarco. There. All right. It's all out in the open.
Man, I know. The weirdest thing is when the spaceship came in and the lantern
it dropped out that
back
Fallout
up to it.
3 gun, yeah.
No, well, the Fallout 3 gun I could make sense because they're always doing cross media stuff between the studios and stuff nowadays. Sure. That's fine. Speaking of, where are the Bethesda? Where are the Bethesda cosmetics? If we're gonna get like stupid Ruby King of the Ruby Splashtail costumes, where are my Fallout and Elden Ring? Why cosmetics?
Isn't Goku in the Emporium? That's what we're asking.
Right? Thank you. I'm glad somebody said it. Also, Spider-Gwen is coming to Fortnite, and I'm excited about that.
Yeah, boy, their level. I've just played a bunch of Fortnite today because of the new season, and I couldn't care less. Almost every level 100 since the Alien Queen, speak of aliens, has been like Marvel or some unique character that I don't give two craps about. Okay, Spider-Gwen, great. I'll never use her. I am here for Paradigm and sort of like the metal looking dude, and I'm into the cyberpunk style of the one dude, and that's it. And I've spent money to get those 3 specific things.
I got my Indiana Jones, I got my Tron, or no, I didn't get my Tron. That's the one crying shame that I just didn't buy out. We're getting off topic though. But anyway, the mystery is fantastic. There's guides out there if you want. Take a look at Ancient Isles University. I'm sure Rare Thief will have something up soon if they don't already. If not, the Sea of Thieves Wiki has a pretty good rundown. Also, the Sea of Thieves Wiki, fully transcribed journals from the latest adventure, which really made me happy. Because
those journals were cool.
The journals from this adventure were amazing. And probably some of the best lore that I've gotten from the game in general. Like,
do you still have written down that one line we both really liked?
Oh, the piece is a curious creature, early, like startled easily and chance to like flight or something like that.
For
I can't remember what it was.
Is a flighty creature and startles easily.
Yes.
Good line.
Fantastic line. Oh my God.
This is one of the few times I actually really like the journals.
Yeah, these journals have been straightforward. They explain a story very eloquently.
Oh, let's talk about Belle.
Okay. Oh yeah, we had a really good conversation about Belle, didn't we?
Belle, we learned from these journals that she was around way back then. Okay. And I got something I haven't talked to you about yet. That she interacted with the ancients back in the day. So she's old. Not saying anything about timey-wimey stuff in the Sea of the Damned that we learned in the Pirate's Life had some weird timey-wimey stuff. We learned about going forward. I don't know if we learned about going back. So I don't think that means that. I mean, it could mean anything with Belle. Maybe she traveled. She's only 30 years old, but she spent those 30 years jumping forward in time through the Sea of the Damned. Maybe. The point is she was still around with the ancients. But listen to this, Logan. I think she is the one who that the ferryman of the Damned, whatever his name is employed to. I think she employs him.
I would not be surprised.
She's full of that theme. She wears that necklace. It's all her gods. She has, oh, what's this? She gives me, this is what made me think of it, the exact lantern that the ferryman gave me. Not sort of similar. Not like the difference between the Captain Boots and the Boots of Courage. I mean the exact same one. Interessante, as the Italians would say. Quantos años tienes? which is German for thank you. Pretty cool, right?
I'm pretty excited with Belle, because even when we first saw Belle, she walks into the Sea of the Damned tavern, right? And she's like, sit down, Ramses. I got this.
Which made me like her from the start.
Yep. Immediately loved her. But it definitely speaks to I've been around far longer than any of you have been. And I understand a lot more about this world and Sea of Thieves, which definitely makes me, we were talking about it while we were trying to go through the journals. I had the idea that the queen of the ancients was Belle, but she was looking like a modern day pirate because that was kind of her
people
way of
clothes.
Yeah. So that it definitely made me feel like that was a possibility. Obviously it's not. If you read the journals, we find out that's not the case, but I was very interested to actually get a rundown of what the heck happened to the ancients. It was so good to find out, like, hey, there was a war. They found out that there was a way to traverse between the worlds, and that you could move to and from the people that you've lost, and that the places you were going were actually 100% a representation of your own memories. So
right. They originally thought it was paradise, and because the Sea of the Dam is formed by your memories, and some you form it in not just by some memories, but there's other ways that you form it. So of course, when the guy goes there, it is paradise because it's formed off based on what he wanted.
Yeah, you manifest what you. So it was really amazing to kind of get some real deep, rich lore about the ancients, what happened to them, why they left, and as well as like the go between with the actual sirens, what was going on with the sirens, what was going on with the merfolk and the ancients, like the line of imagine looking over the edge of your boat one day and seeing someone staring back at you was fantastic. And in the deep dive into what was going on with the warrior and how the warrior just had like so much hubris was fascinating to me. It was so good to actually get like a real good breakdown, and it makes me want to go back and read through all of those journals again, just to kind of like really kind of solidify that lore in my memory.
The lore in this game I find generally uninteresting and uninterestingly delivered. But this one was good. I like this.
Yeah. I think they did a really nice job. Please, more of this.
Pretty good.
Overall, I still need to go finish the adventure because I still haven't done the ritual, and that's because
we got halfway, ran to a bug, but luckily the built-in checkpoint system will let us take up from where the bug was, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that is one thing that I will say is with the adventures, they're coming in really hot, and there's not as much QA I think is could potentially be there. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's because of us not doing as much QA on insiders.
That's what I was talking about when I said that they're less polished than Tall Tales.
Yeah, I definitely want to one of these days, and I hate the idea of this, but I've always been of two minds that I like to be surprised by the stuff that's coming. It's always great to kind of find out like what it is when it's in its final form. But also being able to have a dialogue about potential changes outside of like locked away forums, I think really helps with getting a general idea of what the community could do if they were given the option of a change.
I had to delete like 4 or 5 sentences from my notes because I saw it on Insiders and went, there's no way that when I talk to Logan about, hey, this would be cool, that people won't think I'm ripping off Insiders.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
Which happens.
It does mean, hey, I predicted something right, though.
I mean, yeah, it means that you, if anything, it means that less of a prediction, more of them listening, right? Because they're going in the direction that is obviously the direction that I think us as fans want to see the game go in.
Mm-hmm. But after all this, I hope everyone still walks away with the conviction of don't monetize convenience and quality of life. Just give it to us. It's the worst thing we see about mobile games. What was that Dungeon Keeper game that like heralded in the, hey, this is going to take 4 days unless you spend 500 gems, it'll take a minute. When we're starting to look like mobile games, we're making a mistake.
Yeah, and you're not talking about just being able to purchase name changes in the Emporium. You're talking about buying supplies for your ship with gold.
That and apply it to anything that might come in the future and any decisions you can or you can make in the future. Don't monetize our time, our quality of life, and our convenience. Instead, respect it.
Well, Caleb, as always, it's fascinating having you come on. I don't know how we managed to get this in under 2 hours.
I'll tell you how. Is I'm cooking. I'm baking like a toasted cheeser over here, and I want to open this window more than anything else in my life.
All right. Well, in that case, for the folks at home who are listening to this, for the folks at work who are trying to get through their week, where can they go to get more of your content? Where can they go to give you feedback on all the things that you're right and wrong about?
Sure. Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm not wrong about anything, so you probably won't use this email. But tblazernetwork@gmail.com, where you can tell me about the many things I am wrong at. I probably already know them because I'm very self-critical. You can go to tblazer.net it's the letter T, blazer.net, to look at all our podcasts. We got an actual play podcast. It's a little bit like an audio drama, but it's combined with people actually playing the game. So they're creating the story with me. So it's a lot of fun. Start with season 2. And if you like role-playing games at all, we do a game about Pathfinder, but we've got a lot of episodes that are not game specific. Try our episode about romance. We got a great guest there, Kyle Ferguson. We've got an episode, my favorite episode about comedy with with Brockett Vola and Dan Hall. Oh, hilarious guys. Oh my gosh. Listen to that just for them. Gems, absolute gems. And if you want more of me, you can get me right now at Caleb's last and final top 10.
Number 10.
The character creator should be customizable instead of randomized, at least in some variants. Let me choose my skin color. Maybe this or that, a scar here or there, if not everything. The fact that I'd spend 5 hours hitting random sucks. It'd also be really cool if I could save some. I would like to try a male pirate, but I really like my pirate a lot. Don't want to lose her. Wish I could save her and go back to her later.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you on that case. I think that being able to at least lock what you currently have and then explore new options without losing it would be fantastic. The infinite pirate generator is honestly like a good idea in premise, but does not respect time.
It just doesn't respect my time. That's great.
Number 9.
There's 2 cosmetics I really want. One is the Jolly Roger sails. Give them to me. And I want cat ears. When I got them in Final Fantasy 15, I never took them off. I don't care what stat they gave me. They were adorable, gave me a little tail. It's cute. I want it. I want the cat curse. Give it to me.
Oh my God. No.
I can't believe you agree so much. Yeah, that you're at a loss for words, that you're that much in agreement with me.
I'm okay with cat ears in a lot of games. I really am. Fortnite.
Oh, Destiny, so I can look like a living
Halo.
splash tail, but I can't have cat ears?
I don't like
I could
the
be a
splash
pumpkin
tail
head
either.
dude who whips his head around, but I can't have cat ears?
I don't like the splash tail, and that was a Halloween costume. I mean, if you want to have like a Halloween costume that has like a witch hat with little ears, I guess, but
Rare,
man,
everyone
like,
is clamoring for it. Every single one of your players agree. Cat ears.
The further we stray from the piracy aspect,
Stray like a
of
stray
it,
cat,
like,
cat ears.
Moving on.
Jolly Roger sales, though. We need them, right? Come on.
I don't disagree about that, but I want more piratey stuff too.
Yeah, that's a classic pirate.
There are some fantastic cosplayers out there that are wearing like the quintessential cosplay for like a pirate, and it's very, very like well-known cosmetics that we just haven't seen in game. Can we at least get the bare minimum for like the piratey pirates of the Halloween type costume kind of piratey stuff that we just don't have in games? Where are like the striped leggings? Where are like the striped
stuff
pants?
You see in the pirate Tall Tale 2.
3.
You're right, 3. There's a lot of those in there that look great.
Yeah. Where are those cosmetics first? Then we can talk about your cat ears.
Number 8.
It'd be cool if we had the ability to pickpocket. steal as a pirate. It'd be cool if I like snuck up behind you and could take out your inventory. I'd like that a lot.
It would be interesting if the only way you could do that though is if you could have a secondary action on the shovel that was not bury something and like knock someone out, and it would be the equivalent of a sleep ball.
Is there a tool we have that doesn't have a right click functionality?
Let's see.
Spyglass maybe.
Most of them are just show to other person, so a lot of those could definitely get like swapped out. Spyglass, no, does not have a secondary action.
Maybe that's what you need. But anyway, like so long as they're not looking at you or something, you could steal something from them. That'd be cool.
Number 7.
I want more pets, but you just got the fox. I'm so happy about it. It's great. I don't care that it recycles some of the dog animations. Let it do that. Who gives a crap? As long as it doesn't pee. Does it pee? I don't know. It burped in my face the other day. Didn't like that. But let's get us a seagull pet. There's a cute one in the Pirates Tall Tale 1 on a hat, and I love it, and I want a seagull now. A little crab.
Mine.
All I got was the emote. What's that?
Mine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Isn't there nothing more that really personified so well and anthropomorphized an animal than Finding Nemo's mine?
Yeah.
The possibilities are limitless. And I want to be able to put a parrot on my shoulder. That too. Gimme.
I think there's, I think that, first off, I have to call you out. This was a previous top 10, so a little disappointed that you, because you talked about wanting to have like, wildlife and having a little jellyfish that you could have as a pet, or a little octopus and stuff. So this was
imagine a little octopus just suction cupping his way.
Caleb, we've had this conversation.
I love it. This is the first time I've ever thought about it.
Nope. We've 100% had these conversations. But I do want to see more pets. I'm very curious to see what type of pets we could get, because even a fox feels a little out there as far as like what I would think when it comes to piratey pets. I'm surprised we haven't gotten a raven, honestly. Like where are said ravens? Even
if you make them like the collector's pets where you can do a one-off, you don't have to do clothing or anything. Hey, where's our fox's clothing, by the way? You don't have to do clothing or anything, like, or make a bunch of varieties, but you have just little one instances of cool, interesting pets. I love it so much.
Yeah, I would love that.
Number 6.
We need a way to make titles more visible. Earning titles, if they're going to tool them to be 500 gosh darn animals or whatever the heck you got to do, make it a better way for me to show them off. I don't know what it is. I don't know the solution. I just know that this ain't it, bro.
That's interesting, because I think they did a pretty good job with the way you see ship titles and ship crests and stuff. So I'm wondering if they could go something that route. It's better than what we've got.
Can you imagine if you got a banner with a title every time you came across a pirate, and they just kept overlapping each other as you were fighting a crew of 4, and then you were seeing your titles, your friends' titles, and then their enemies' titles, and he swung at you, and now that title, 95% of the screens were taken up with banners.
How would you feel if you could have your gamer tag replaced as your title?
Might be okay. Yeah, that's definitely more visible.
Like, I would just be like, for me, I've always had the bearer of the Reaper's mark. What?
I said as an option, of course.
Oh, yes, as an option. Because then I would just be the bearer of the Reaper's mark. I wouldn't necessarily need to have my name. Not like people recognize my name anyway, but at least having the option, I think, might be interesting, because then you could kind of gussy up some of the titles themselves. I never think about changing my title because I got the one that I wanted, so sure. I'm fine. But yeah, titles are still kind of very interesting. It's an interesting thing because you don't buy titles, so it's a cosmetic that you never really buy.
Number 5.
I'd like to see more environments. Give us some coral reefs. Maybe the inside of the belly of a great beast. Have the water frozen over during the winter and snowfall. We spoke about Fortnite earlier. They did that one winter with the whole map. I think maybe every winter they do that. The whole map gets covered in snow. It's very cute. Would you like to see isn't that a cool idea of the trail through you breaking the ice in the water? That'd be great. I'd love that more than like a freaking winter zone, whatever. But the point is, different environments. I'd love to see them.
Yeah, I think we're getting that in Sea of Thieves 2, though. So I don't think that I think they're saving it for Sea of Thieves 2.
Sure. Sea of Thieves 2 exclusively cold.
Yep.
Number 4.
I would love to see stowed weapons on our persons. That I reach on our back, pistol on your hip, that sort of deal. That'd be great. Sword in its sheath.
Yeah. I feel like this was a top 10 as well, too.
Was it?
I feel like we
I
talked
delete
about
them
that
when I
one in
do
the
them. I
past,
don't
too.
think this is right, but maybe it is. It also could have been we just talked about it, but not in a top 10, because then I wouldn't have deleted it.
That's very plausible, because I remember it was a conversation I think we had around the time that we were talking about the tall tales for A Pirate's Life.
Mm-hmm.
And you were very upset about not being able to have your weapons stowed on your person.
Sure. What's Deadeye Charlotte? Maybe is her. Everyone's wanted that since we've seen her.
Yeah.
But this is my final top 10. Let me repeat some of the ones I really like.
Fair.
Number 3.
I would like to see a skeleton outpost, a phantom outpost, and a siren/mermaid outpost. That'd be pretty sick. I thought maybe that's what was going to happen if the Reapers had taken over Golden Sands, that then it would be manned by phantoms. Obviously, I guess we can't say I was wrong about that, but even Rare didn't know what they were going to do.
Yeah, I still maintain that I would have rather have had a Golden Sands of the Damned than whatever it turns into now, unless they literally turn it into the Nassau, the Tortuga of Sea of Thieves.
Sure.
I'm gonna be disappointed regardless, because the possibility of at least getting a Sea of the Damned-esque outpost in the game was a way better proposition to me.
Sure.
Than whatever built up town this is going to be, because I still don't see them being able to have NPCs moving for one, but traversing the town as if it were alive.
Yeah.
I imagine it will still just be a bunch of people standing in place,
Sure.
waiting for you to walk by and be like, "Hello, stranger."
I don't know if this happens at other outposts, but every time I load in a plunder, I'll get into the shop before they've spawned. I wait for them and they just pop into existence.
I don't
Ancient
get
Spire
that.
maybe is what I'm thinking of.
I only get that with when I'm on my 1X.
Oh, okay.
That's the only time that I get that load lag. Also, can you make one of your top 10s? Can we replace one of your top 10s? Like you talked about pets in the past, so I'm gonna take your top 10.
Sure.
Can we replace that with, hey, let's make sure that when I click something in the UI, it actually loads the thing that I want, instead of telling me that
Logan,
there's something wrong with it.
that brings me into
Number 2.
menu overhaul. Menu and UI overhaul. That's a brilliant one that you just mentioned. How about when I press tab when I get accommodation to go look at it, like you do with trials? That I wasn't the originator of that idea. A little we talked about before, an indicator for a personal crew or alliance-based achievement, and just not 900 menus inside of 900 menus, please.
That's good. Number 2, please. UI overhaul. I'll help you with it.
Number 1.
Been on my list before. If not, we've talked about it before. I know, because we talked about it on this episode. But it is and always will be my number 1 next to Davy Jones' costume. I can't believe you ruined that for me, Rare. Give me the ability to equip all of a set with a single press of a button in each chest. And give me customizable locker presets. Please and thank you.
Loadouts that you can spend money to lock your cosmetics in.
At this point, I take it. Oh my gosh. That's great. Now I understand what you mean, but hey, at least it's what we have. You converted me.
I agree with you on pretty much all of the things. I think those would be fantastic additions to the game. I would love to see some of that stuff switched up so that we can actually hopefully get a little bit of quality of life improvements. I feel like captaincy was a big check mark on the list of things that like were destined to come to Sea of Thieves that never came in the time frame that they expected to, because of
like how they added we could sail out of the Athena's hideout. I think that was great with this captaincy.
Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to the next update, where it's a quality of life update, where they give us our own hideout and allow us to sail, have our ship,
customize,
have our crew. Yeah, like honestly, one of my top 10s genuinely is like my own little island. Like I would love my own little maiden voyage. have it be where I can load in with my crew. That's the thing. I love Maiden
You
Voyage.
can probably use
I
the
wanna-
portals to access it with other people.
Yeah, see, that's what I want to be able to have, like a little island. I can decorate on my own. I can have all my cosmetics shown off. I can have big trophies of the stuff that I've killed on big walls.
What was that
and stuff.
old Dinosaur Hunter game where when you killed them, you got to show them off in your trophy room, and they were just the 3D
Dinosaur?
models?
No, what is this?
It's probably just called Dinosaur Hunter.
Interesting. No, but yeah, like
Carnivores, Dinosaur Hunter.
Oh, okay. See, I never played that, but I did play Fallout 76.
But you just have
where
like a
you can do
giant
that.
megalodon that you've put up there because you've killed one.
Yeah, like the Sea Fort, Mercy's End has one of the Kraken skulls over a hearth, and it's like, why can't I have that on my own personal island?
Wow, that would be pretty sick.
And be like, if I'm going to be a captain, let me be a captain and a landowner. Let me load my crew into my own little personal like getaway island where my sail, like everything, I can get time set up there. It's my own little thing. I'm hanging out with my crew members. There's unlimited grog and blonder bombs and kegs, and nothing gets damaged. And we just hang out there, and that can be a little chit chat area if people want.
Ugh.
And then when you're ready,
Grass.
you're all loaded up, you can sail out.
Grass, me with cows, making cheese. I'm a pirate, always will be.
I have no clue what you're talking about with cows. Why
Barbosa-
did cows come into the...
Barbosa says that.
Does he?
Yeah,
Weird.
in the latest Pirates of the Caribbean movie.
Oh, okay.
Like you should
All right.
retire to maybe become a farmer.
Oh. I do remember that. And what? Have a bunch of cows?
I'm making cheese.
I'm a pirate and always have been. Yeah. No, I would love to have like my own little personal island with there's a little place over where oh my gosh, not Lorena, Umbra. Umbra's island is like a perfect example of what I would love to have. It with a little hammock in the trees with a little ladder up to it, just a nice little tent with some stuff. Like, give me a little cabana that I can decorate. I can put all my photos in there.
I
and
want
when
this.
there's
Speaking of Fallout 3 or Minecraft, I want to really make this what I want. I want to be able to, like, hey, a guy has a traditional pirate thing. I want mine to be like a bar, and I decorate it like a bar, and it's like we're playing a Harborough Hotel, where they're all made out of gummy worms. Well, Logan, thank you so much for having me on. I greatly appreciate it. It's always a pleasure, and
Yes.
thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm glad that we got an opportunity to do this. I will not let you suffer in silence anymore.
It sounds like you're respecting my time.
I am not respecting your time right now. I think it's a great opportunity to check on your cat, see how is Noxus doing, and just. Is there anything going on outside the window? Like, is there any reason why you wouldn't be able to open up the window now, or?
Yes, there's a car wash near me that goes brrr every so often that I've now tuned it out.
Okay, that makes sense. You've also tuned out the trains as well,
There's
too.
trains that maybe you've heard.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to talk about while you're sweltering?
No, I've concluded. Believe it or not, Caleb's done talking.
Caleb
It's
is done
happened.
talking. This episode has also concluded. I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you guys had a good time listening to all of the things Caleb wanted to talk about, especially the changes in the multiplayer to the Community Day versus Golden Glory. And that's going to do it for this episode. I love you all so much. I hope you guys have a great I hope you guys have a great, fantastic weekend. We'll have to talk about this in the future with another episode, and you guys all have a fantastic weekend. Thank you. I love you, and I look forward to sailing with you on the next Sea of Thieves.
But now that they're doing this to us, I can't believe it.
You've been listening to a Robots Radio podcast. Smart shows for interesting people. Check out all the shows at robotsradio.net.
Have you ever wondered how deep the Elder Scrolls lore rabbit hole goes? Have you got a grasp of the basics and want to find out more about the universe? Written in Uncertainty is here to help you. We'll be mixing in philosophy, theology, and whatever other theory is useful with Elder Scrolls texts to untangle some of the biggest questions in the series, like what are dragon breaks, how does Chim work, where did the Dwemer go, and more. Check us out at writteninuncertainty.com or find Written in Uncertainty on any podcatcher. Thanks for listening, and catch you later in the Grey Maybe of Tamriel.
Hey Guardians, we are the Destiny Show Podcast, a weekly podcast about all things Destiny 2. We invite amazing guests from the Destiny community to share their stories and discuss the latest topics from the world of Destiny. Check us out on Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, or live on Twitch every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. We will see you Starside.